Oh!
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mina here. So I'm filming this intro like 3 weeks after the actual bridal shower. Oh, and I moved to a new place. This is my new room and I tried to decorate the wall, but it's not finished. So on this video, I'm gonna show you how to make these 2 dresses I made for my best friend's bridal shower. I tried to film every process of making 3 different dresses I made, but I was running out of time and I had no time to film the process of making my own dress. So yeah, just 2 dresses. So these 2 dresses are inspired by Selkie dresses. So the dress for the bride. I tried to recreate this Selkie dress for the bride, but in white version. And I also saw this dress and I thought maybe I can recreate that silhouette using my own pattern. Last time I recreated Selkie dress was about one and a half year ago. I had to go back and watch my own video to see how I made the dress, but I think these dresses turned out really nice. While I was filming, I tried to show you everything I can and try to explain as much as I can. But if you're a beginner, this tutorial might be difficult for you. But I'm not saying it's impossible to follow all the steps. First time is hard, but once you made it through, you can make everything you want. So that was a disclaimer. I lost 2 nails. I don't know what happened. They were there like 30 minutes ago. So without further ado, let's get started. So the fabric I ordered arrived 2 days ago. I've been procrastinating for 2 days because it's quite overwhelming. So these 2, this pink and blue, are for me and my other friend, and this white fabric is for the bride. I don't know which one I should start first. The last time I made a Selkie dress, it was probably more than a year ago, and I have no idea like what I did. I had to go back and watch my video, and I just realized that I didn't order the inner fabric. Fuck. You know what? I'm going to make the bride's dress first. Okay, so I ordered 10 yards of this fabric, and the width of this fabric, I'm just gonna put everything here because I don't remember now. So for the dress I'm going to make for the bride, it needs a skirt part and a ruffle part. I wrote in here that I need 8 yards of fabric to make a skirt part and 12 yards of fabric to make a ruffle. Just for a quick note, I ended up using 5 yards of completed skirt, and the size of the dress I'm making is extra small. So this is 1 yard, approximately 1 yard, and I just folded 8 times, so this is 8 yards of fabric. I'm going to cut the skirt part. So the skirt is 58 centimeters according to my note. So I'm gonna leave 2 centimeters for the waistline and 1 centimeter for the ruffle. I'll be back. Are the ruffle part. So the ruffle needs to be 12 yards. 8 yards of these, and I just cut another 4 yards of ruffle. So I'm just gonna connect these 2 and use it as 1 ruffle. First, let's hem the ruffle. I folded 1 centimeter of the seam allowance and sew a straight line very close to the edge. After that, I cut the excess fabric like so. Then I fold it again and sew a straight line. I just finished hemming the ruffle, and now I'm going to do a regular stitch all the end of the ruffle. Then I'm going to pull the thread to make a ruffle. There's only like 1 yard left. I'm just gonna pull the thread and make ruffle from here. So grab 1 thread and pull it like so. So I marked half of this 12-yard ruffle and also quarter of it. So after I make ruffles, I can adjust the size of the ruffle to fit the length of the skirt, if that makes sense. So the size of the ruffle won't be that big because I'm making a ruffle from 12 yards of fabric to fit into 8 yards of skirt. So the ruffle won't be that big. Next step is to sew the ruffle and skirt together. First, I pin them together facing right sides each other. I pinned half point and quarter point I already marked. Then I adjust the size of the ruffles to fit into the length of the skirt. So I just pinned ruffle and skirt part together, so right sides facing each other. Now I'm going to sew these together. So I'm gonna do regular stitch, just following this line. Then I overlock the excess fabric. Then I top stitch the overlocked excess fabric for a clean finish. Then I gather the waistline of the skirt using same method to make ruffle. So I had to make another pattern for my friend's size because the one I made before is too big for her, obviously, because my friend is really petite. And I'm gonna upload these patterns on my blog as well. So I already sewed the top patterns together and finished top stitching as well. I used non-stretchy satin for inner fabric. Now I'm going to sew this together, wrong side of inner fabric and right side of outer fabric facing each other. I'm going to sew the outlines except the waistline and the armhole lines. After overlocking the excess fabric, I'm going to flip this inside out. So this step is optional, but I just hate that excess fabric hanging like that, so I'm going to top stitch the overlocked excess fabric like so. But you can totally skip this part and instead you can just iron it flat and nice. Next, I'm going to sew right below the waistline so the outer fabric and inner fabric won't move around anymore. I'm using full circle pattern for inner skirt. You can use Omni calculator to get all the measurements you need. Next, I'm going to sew the inner skirt and outer skirt together. And now I'm going to connect the top and the skirt. This is the waistline. I have 19 hours left. I just cut the pattern for the sleeves and I don't know. I think it's gonna work. I mean, it's a gathered sleeves. I'm just gonna shrink these lines using elastic band, and then I think I'm gonna go take a shower. Then I can finish my dress. I'm so sorry about the confusing and non-helping video footage I got. I was under a lot of pressure and I had literally no time to film everything. But here's the pattern I used to make puffy sleeves. I didn't even draw a pattern, I just cut the fabric as I go. So this is a very puffy sleeve, so you don't need to make a perfect pattern. And even if you got the armhole measurements wrong, once the sleeves got shrunk, it will look perfect. So I just hemmed the bottom of the sleeves and sew elastic band while I was stretching it. And for the top part of the sleeves, I also sew an elastic band while I was stretching it, but I sew it right above the pattern line. And after I sew an elastic band, I fold the band and sew again. Then I just simply sew them onto the top. We don't have time. Let's get right into dress number 2. So this is the dress I'm going to recreate using my pattern. So I'm gonna use my pattern that I made for Bobby Ferrara's Met Gala dress. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut this in half, and I'm gonna merge these 3 pieces into one, and these 3 pieces into one. This is the finished pattern I'm going to use to make the blue dress, and this is the mock-up I made. So I had my friend came over, the bride-to-be, and she tried this on, and it fits perfectly. This dress is for my other friend, but they're in both same size. They're very petite. So this mocha with the pattern I made is good to go. So I cut the pattern for the inner fabric, and I was going to do the same to the organza, the outer fabric, but this fabric is too slippery and it's hard to mark the outline of the pattern. So what I'm going to do is, before I sew them all together, I'm going to sew this organza on this inner fabric pattern on seam allowance. So I'm gonna just flip this over and put this outer fabric on top of it, and I'm gonna do a regular stitch on the seam allowance and use it as one pattern. So for the bodice, let me show you the inside. So this is the inside, and so I already connected side pieces to the center piece, and I also do the top stitch. And on top of the inner fabric, I pinned the outer fabric like so. So the outer fabric, the organza, this is one piece, the whole piece, and I'm going to do the regular stitch on seam allowance all around the edge. And after that, I can connect the bodice with these cups. So I also do the top stitch on the cups as well, like this. So the inside looks like this. And now I have finished the sewing all together, and what I'm gonna do now, I'm going to hem this top line. I'm gonna leave the size for the zipper and leave the waistline for the skirt. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to fold this a little bit and sew the very close to the edge, and then I'm gonna fold it again and hem it like so, the same way I hem the end of the skirt. I'm using full circle pattern for inner skirt. You can use Omni calculator to get all the measurements you need. Make 1 circle pattern for inner fabric and make 2 circle patterns for outer fabric. Then I sew the waistline of all 3 layers together. After that, I sew the bodice and the skirt together. After I overlock the excess fabric of waistline, I top stitch the overlocked excess fabric facing up. Next step is to sew a zipper on the back. I always sew zipper in different ways, depends what I'm making, but this is how I sew a zipper making this dress. First, I decide how long the zipper will be. Then, I pin the center back of the dress facing right sides each other. Make sure all the skirts are in place and keep pinning from the waist to where the end of the zipper should be. After I marked and pinned where the zipper ends, I can sew these 3 layers of skirts separately. First, I'm gonna sew the outermost skirt. Then, I'm gonna sew the middle skirt. And finally, I'm gonna sew this inner skirt. Don't worry if the skirt is not in same length, just make sure to sew a straight line, then you can trim the longer side matched to the other one before you hem the skirt. In this video, I already hemmed the skirt before adding zipper, but ignore that cause this is the proper and easy way to finish the dress. And don't forget to overlock the excess fabric. Now it's time to pin the zipper. I start pinning from the top and make sure the waist is meeting at the same waistline. And keep pinning till the end. When you're pinning the skirts, make sure you're pinning all 3 layers with zipper. After I sew the zipper, I sew the end of the zipper like so. Next, hem all 3 layers of the skirt. Now it's time to make sleeves. First, you're gonna need 2 of these square patterns. Then fold it in half, wrong sides facing each other. Then it'll look like this. And sew a straight line 3 cm below the folded side. Then fold these 2 sides outward so the right sides are facing each other. Then sew a straight line 2 cm above the edge. Then overlock it and cut the excess fabric. Flip it inside out. Then it'll look like this. Then sew a straight line 3 cm above the bottom. Then sew elastic band in between these 2 fabrics while stretching it out. Sew shoulder elastic band right below where you sewed and sew arm elastic band right above where you sewed. You can sew elastic band using zigzag stitch or regular stitch. Then fold it in half and sew 2 sides together and of course overlock the excess fabric. Then there you have 2 puffy sleeves. Next, sew these 2 puffy sleeves on both sides of the dress. My room is trashed. But I finally finished. 아, 여기 해가 들어오면 너무 좋을 텐데.
그니까. 근데 좀 칙칙하다.
그니까.
우와, 우와.
귀엽지?
완전 귀엽다. 대박. 이거야?
어.
경민언니 따라하기. 경민언니.
뭐야, 더 놀라란 말이야.
근데 이거
더 큰 리액션 너무 약했어.
아니 이거를 며칠 만에 만든 거야?
아, 이거 오래 걸렸어. 이거 한 7시간 걸린 것 같아. 예쁘지? 이제 입어봐. 진짜 치마가 길어.
치마 모르겠지?
내가 너네를 너무 과대평가했어. 키를 과대평가했어.
그래 무슨 160이야.
진짜 나 지금
나는-
언니보다 작아.
나 진짜 나는 진짜 이게 무릎 위로 올라오는 길이를 생각하고 내가 만든 건데 야 10cm, 15cm 더 잘라도 됐겠다.
지금 하고 있는 거야?
어.